Yeah, we are laying up good stuff.
Hey guys, this is Backdraft, and welcome to another episode on the Create With Backdraft SMP. This is episode number 3. Thank you so much for joining me today. This server is a custom mod pack server that centralizes around the Create mod. Me and my friends are doing all kinds of crazy contraptions and builds on this server. So be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn on the bell for notifications and hit that like button if you guys are enjoying the content. Thank you so much. So if you guys have tuned in, there are a few changes. You can probably already see a few. So we are using complementary shaders now. So I wanted to turn on shaders as early as episode 1 in this season, but I couldn't get them to work for some reason, and I finally got the right settings and got the shaders to work, and everything is looking absolutely beautiful. Let me know what you guys think of the shaders down in the comments. The other thing you guys probably noticed is we now have our Elytra. So we ended up fighting the Ender Dragon on stream with a couple of my buddies, Egg Fried Pies and DragonX. I'll pull up some clips right here. We were able to fight the dragon 3 times. We were able to build a portal in the Nether that takes us all the way to the stronghold that brought us into the end. Everybody was able to get Elytras and backup Elytras. It was a lot of fun. Make sure you guys tune into my streams. I stream every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. EST for a couple hours. Come and hang out. We have lots and lots of fun. So the other thing that we have right here in the middle of my starter base area is this awesome little Halloween setup done by my friend Egg Fried Pies. Put a little scarecrow, a couple jack-o'-lanterns, a couple pumpkins, and it is looking super awesome. I love how the pumpkin's actually in the ground right here popping up next to the path. Super cool. It is October. That means it is spooky month, and I need to get my Halloween costume ready. Need to get a skin going. I'll show you guys what that looks like. I haven't even designed it yet, but yeah. So a couple other updates just to keep everybody in the loop on a few things I've done off camera. You can see this little nook that I have over here underneath the starter house. I have actually built a villager breeder over here. So I went out to the village and grabbed a couple more villagers, set them up in here with some crops, and they should eventually breed, and the babies should fall into this little area here and then grow up, and we can start getting a lot more trades. The plan is to expand this out. We should have plenty of space to add a ton more villagers. I'm really after a couple more book trades. I'm after sharpness 5 and looting 3, I think, are the 2 main ones, and then whatever else we can get along the way as well. Since we want to set up our mob farm in this episode, or potentially the next, depending on if we have time, I definitely want those 2 things. We also have an ancient tome that will give us looting 4, and I've heard that looting 4 is just absolutely wild, so I'm excited to see how that turns out. And the other thing that we added that I'll show real quickly is just this basic chicken coop. I've been breeding up a bunch of chickens. The main motivation for this is because we're going to need feathers for a few things that we're going to be doing. The plans for episode 3 are as follows. The very first thing I want to get done is get the centralized storage up and running. So we're going to be using storage drawers, which is a really awesome mod if you guys aren't familiar with it. We're going to be setting it up, a central space on the Backdraft Peninsula over here, and feeding everything into it. There's a really cool mechanic we can use with Ender storage that I'm going to show you guys before the episode is out. Number 2 is I want to get my mob farm up and running. So we have tons of different spawners that we got from across exploring dungeons and looting a bunch of different cave systems and all of that. So we want to get the mob farm going in this episode as well. And then number 3, I actually didn't even have a plan for number 3. I think it might have been auto mining. I don't know if we're going to do that in this episode. If we have enough time, we'll end up doing some auto mining. I want to do some auto mining in the Nether to get ourselves netherite, and in the overworld just because I want to get a ton of different types of storage. And then plan number 4, once again, this is probably not going to happen in this episode, but if it does, it's definitely on the agenda. And that is an iron farm. That's definitely something I want to set up sooner rather than later. So first things first, I want to get started with central storage. So I have a little area over here, just a little ways away from where we've been playing around over there. I built a path just so we can get over here. We have this hollowed out area in the ground. So this is 5 deep and 13 by 13 wide, and this is where our centralized storage is going to be. So in this mod pack, we have a mod called storage drawers. Here are a few of them right here. If you guys aren't familiar with how storage drawers work, essentially they allow you, well, these ones in particular, allow you to store a single item in them. I think the default is 16 stacks of the item, and then you can actually upgrade them as well so that you can get a ton more items into each storage drawer. So right here, I put the torches in there. You can get items in there by just left clicking on the drawer, and then you can take them back out by simply left clicking on the drawer. And the way that we're going to set this up is we're going to use what's called a drawer controller. We're going to put that right in the middle here. And then we're going to use the ender chests from the ender storage mod. So what this is it gives you the capability of creating unique inventories for different ender chests based on the color on the top of the ender chest. So for this one was crafted with white wool, meaning that this is a white ender chest. So if I was to craft one, say, with red wool, that would give us a completely different inventory for that ender chest, and then all of the red ender chests would connect up to each other, and in this case, all of the white ender chests across the world will connect up to each other as well. So the idea is we're going to take one of these and plop it on top of the drawer controller, and then any items that get fed into it from the ender chest via this create mod chute will end up in the storage drawers that we're going to be lining along the sides of the centralized storage area here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these white ender chests, we're going to put one along each of the farms, and then all of the output from those farms are going to be fed into the storage drawers, and it is going to be completely hands off, and it's going to be super awesome. So I believe the drawer controller works within a 12 by 12 radius, and the drawers have to be connected to each other. So we're probably going to be running like little streams of drawers underneath, just like this, to connect the drawer controller up to all of them and make sure that everything connects up nicely. So that is the plan. Let's get to it. Several hours later, we now have the centralized storage complete. This is looking super cool. So I was debating doing a time lapse of this, but then I realized that it wasn't actually going to take me very long to put this together. Most of the time was actually transferring all of my items from the starter house over here. But it really didn't take that long. So I decided against doing a time lapse, but we are going to do a time lapse later in the episode when we do something super awesome with the create mod. So let me give you guys the tour of the storage area. So here is the storage controller in the center, the storage drawer controller in the center. So it is hooked up to all of these drawers along the walls here. And as you can see, I've already transferred in a ton of different items. So this is kind of like the nether and the mob drops over here. This is wood, this is blocks and stone, grass, dirt, that kind of thing. Food and farm is over here, and then we have like mineable things and then just a few miscellaneous things over here. So these drawers down here, I don't think I talked about these. These are actually compacting drawers. So the way that these work is they give you your base product, and then anything that product can be compacted into is then over here, and then anything that product can be compacted into is over here. So it essentially gives you a way of storing 3 different items in the same drawer. So as you can see, like we have iron nuggets, iron ingots, and iron blocks, and you can actually take each of these individual items as if they were just sitting in a single drawer, and then you can just obviously put them back. But for example, like that means we can only we can potentially feed just the iron nuggets into the system, and they will automatically compact down. So if I take 9 iron nuggets out and then put them back in, you can see that the iron ingot count then went up like magic. So it's almost like auto crafting, sort of, kind of, but it's compacting it down for us. So all of the common mineable things that we can find are along the bottom here in these compacting drawers. We might eventually add more compacting drawers. I don't know for what yet, but this is what we're working with. So in the middle here, I actually have a few miscellaneous chests for things that I don't want to put in the storage system, and I've marked them with these Futura blocks, which actually my friends Egg Fried Pies and Drax gave me a couple of these while we were on stream, and I just ended up using them as markers for these chests. And then this one over here we marked with a cog is where we're going to keep all of our miscellaneous create mod items and whatever else we get from the create mod as well. So the reason that I needed the chickens and the feathers is so we could create these two storage drawer keys. So the drawer key is actually just made with some gold. So I'll show you guys that real quick. It's just some gold and then an upgrade template from the storage drawers mod, and then we get a drawer key. Now the drawer key is used to actually lock the drawer. So when the drawer is locked, if I take all of the items out and now it says 0, that means if it wasn't locked, then I'll actually unlock it real quick. Then another item could potentially get put into that drawer. But we want this spot to be reserved for books, so that's why we lock it. And then the quantify key is what displays the number. So if I right click, you see that number at the bottom gets toggled, but we always want it to show how many we have. Now the quantify key actually requires us to use a book and quill, and that's why we needed the feathers. For whatever reason, nobody was ever able to get their hands on some feathers, so that's why I went out and got a couple chickens. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the remainder of the 3 ender chests that we have, which are going to be hooked up to the ender chest that's connected to the drawer controller, and we're going to put these underneath each of our 3 farms. And what that essentially means is any of the loot that we get from those farms is going to automatically get dispensed into these storage drawers. It's so awesome. Centralized storage at its finest. So to demonstrate this for you guys real quick, I'm over at the wheat farm and I've replaced this chest over here with the ender chest. So if I open it up, it's actually connected right now. It doesn't have anything in it. But if I dump all of this wheat into here, you can see it is slowly getting sucked out. That's because the ender chest that it's connected to over at the central storage is pulling it into the storage drawers. So the drawer that holds the wheat is now getting filled up. And if we dump in our seeds, you can see that those are now getting sucked in as well. And that's going to fill up the seed drawer. So we're going to do this for the wood farm and for the sugarcane farm, and we won't have to worry about storage anymore for these, at least for a little while. So if you look right here at the birch drawer, you can see that there's 2,048 items in that drawer. That means this drawer is now at its base capacity, and we've actually overflowed on birch, and it is now storing it over here in this second drawer. Now, to combat this, you can actually add what are called upgrades to the drawers. And the top tier upgrade, which multiplies the value, the total amount that you can have in the drawer by 32 times, meaning you can, I think that's the equivalent of like 32 double chests, or maybe like a little less, something like that. This is crafted using these upgrade templates, emeralds, and sticks, which we are going to craft. We'll craft up 5 of them right now. So then what we can do is we can actually shift click on the drawer. Is it shift click? Shift left click, shift right click. Oh gosh. I thought it was shift right click. Is it on the side? So it's actually shift right click with an empty hand. So since I had stuff in my hand, it wasn't working. So if you toss this upgrade into here, which I've already done, this now upgrades the storage space by, and you can see we already had some birch logs coming in. But this upgrades it by 32 times the base value. So it's essentially like 32 double chests just in this one drawer, which is absolutely wild. So that means we can now take this other drawer. We've already unlocked it and unquantified it, and we can just keep shift right clicking to remove all of the birch. And then we can come over here to this one and double right click, and you can see it dumps all of the birch in our inventory into that drawer. So we'll empty out this bad boy and fill up the other drawer. So I popped over to my creative testing world because I said we were going to be building an iron farm in this episode, and boy am I going to deliver. This is so much more than an iron farm. I have spent tons of hours working on this contraption trying to perfect it, but what we have here, ladies and gentlemen, is Backdraft's 3-in-1 iron farm slash flint farm slash ore doubling system slash cobblestone farm extravaganza. Okay, I know I'm lame. But anyway, so what we have here is we have a windmill right here. This is a source of rotational power in the Create mod, which is producing 2,048 stress units at 16 RPMs to begin with. So if you aren't familiar with how to double RPM in the Create mod, essentially what you do is you connect a large cogwheel up to a small cogwheel, and since the small cogwheel can turn twice as fast as the large cogwheel, depending on each large cogwheel's rotation, you're essentially doubling the RPM, which is how we're getting this fast of an RPM way over here. But let me try to explain what's going on. So we have 16 RPM to start with. Small cog doubles it to 32. onto a big cog. Small cog doubles that to 64, onto a big cog. Small cog doubles that to 128, and at 128 RPM is how we're powering the majority of this contraption over here. But then, whoa, lag spike. We're actually doubling it once more over here to 256 RPM to power the mechanical drills over here, which are crushing down our cobblestone. So we're crushing the cobblestone down over here with the crushing wheels. These are going at 256 stress units each. And then we're actually running it through these, which are called, I believe these are tunnels. So we have a series of brass tunnels, and when you have them all stacked up next to each other like this, anything that comes into the first one will evenly distribute it. So you can actually see it comes out of that one, then that one, then that one, and then it starts over here, that one. It's evenly distributing it out. And at the end over here, we have some depots, and the gravel will sit here and get bulk washed by our 2 encased fans on either side. So the fact that we have 2 fans actually effectively doubles the speed that the bulk washing occurs. And from gravel, you actually have, I think it's a 12% chance to produce an iron nugget. Here it is right here. So we have a 25% chance to produce a piece of flint, and then a 12% chance to produce an iron nugget per piece of gravel. So that is super fantastic. So with the rates, I've been sitting here just kind of counting, running a timer. It looks like we're gonna get about a stack of iron ingots per hour, which isn't crazy fast compared to like a vanilla iron farm. But this is all built in the Create mod, and it is completely AFK, hands off. Don't gotta worry about villagers, don't gotta worry about any of that crazy stuff. This is gonna do just fine. Now, that is one thing that this crazy contraption can do. The second thing is this is also an ore doubling system. So right over here, we have some amazing redstone engineering. It is a crazy look how crazy all the redstone components that we have here. Just kidding. We only have 2 redstone components to power this entire thing, and it is super clutch. No pun intended, if you guys know what this is. So this right here is a Create mod clutch. So a Create mod clutch essentially will allow rotational power to pass through it, but if it has a redstone signal given to it, it will stop the rotational power going through it. So essentially what we're saying is if there are items in this chest right here, then the clutch will turn off the mechanical drills and stop producing cobblestone. So what we're saying is if we have ores in this chest here, this is going to be our ore doubling chest, then we want to stop the mechanical drills from producing cobblestone and let the ores go through and get doubled and then bulk washed or just passed through. So for example, lapis ore would get crushed down into just the base old lapis, and that wouldn't get bulk washed, that would just pass through because we actually have filters here on these brass funnels. So the brass funnels will allow everything through that isn't an ore chunk or a piece of gravel. So anything else that doesn't need to get bulk washed will just be able to pass right through and go into this ender chest over here. So if you remember from the centralized storage that we just set up, the ender chest with the 3 white dots on the top, the white ender chest essentially is what it's called in the ender storage mod. This will feed it directly into our storage drawers centralized storage area. Over here, you can actually see we've dyed this one red in the center, so this is white, red, white. So this ender chest storage space is completely different from this one over here. That is the beauty of the ender storage mod, which is absolutely awesome. So let me demo this for you guys real quick. So if I dump a bit of iron ore into this chest right here, you will see that the comparator will then turn on and the mechanical drills stop spinning. So then the iron ore has a chance to go through and get crushed down. Any cobblestone that is produced from that process will just pass right through and will not go through the bulk wash. But you can see all of the iron chunks are coming through. They're going to get bulk washed and produce mass amounts of iron, essentially doubling it. And as you can see, we now have gravel coming through again because all of the iron went through and now it's producing cobblestone again. And then finally, if we really needed some cobblestone, we could remove these crushing wheels and this would then turn into a cobblestone farm as well. So it is a 3-in-1 Create mod contraption. Talk about optimization. I'm super proud of this contraption. And I think that we have everything that we're gonna need to build this in survival. The only thing that I'm not going to be able to produce on my own are the crushing wheels, because these actually require mechanical crafting, which I don't have set up yet. But Unfortunately, my good friends across the pond, Draconex and Egg Fried Pies, already have mechanical crafting set up at their base, so I don't think they would mind if we just use their mechanical crafter to produce a couple crushing wheels. So I'm just over the river at Draconex's and Egg Fried Pies' area, and it is coming along really nicely. So I think Pies is actually building this like house castle thing over here, which is looking super cool. I love the way that these windows and the roof are coming together. Super awesome. But right in here, they have their mechanical crafter set up already. We need to get ourselves one of these set up, but for now I think we're just going to use theirs. So to make the crushing wheels that we're going to need for the farm, we need 16 andesite alloy, which is quite a bit, 4 planks, and then 1 stone, and put it together in the mechanical crafting apparatus just like this. So I think it's planks like this, stone in the middle, and then we fill in the rest with the andesite alloy. And as far as I know, it should just start crafting. Everything should start moving. I think. Yep, there we go. So everything's gonna start moving. It's kind of slow. I think it's based on the rotational speed of whatever it's being given. So right now this is kind of slow, but each one requires 6 stress units. So at the end of the day, this does require a bit of power. So once this is all done, we should get the crushing wheels. Okay, it's just about done. They're all coming together. And then once they do, they should just pop right off. Little magical sparkle. And still going. And there we go. So there's the crushing wheels. That should have produced 2, I think. Hopefully. Do I just grab it now? Grab it right quick. There we go. All right, we got our crushing wheels. So another amazing thing that the Create mod offers is the use of schematics. So here in my creative world, I've created, or just grabbed, I guess, a schematic in Quill. Now, this is similar to Lightmatica, kind of, sort of, but there's all sorts of fun things that you can do with schematics in the Create mod. We're not going to do every single one of them with this design, but we are going to save this schematic so we can plop it down into the survival world and make it easy to build. So essentially, we just click one of the corners. I've outlined the corners here with these grass blocks. We just right-click that corner, and then we right-click this corner down here. And then we have outlined the area for the schematic to be saved. And then if we just right-click, and we can save this as Iron Farm, I guess I'll save it, and then hit the check mark. Then this saves this to a .nbt file, which is stored in the files in our computer. But that means we can also use this schematic in our survival world. We just need to make a schematic table, which is simple to build. We just need some wood and some smooth stone. Then we can make these schematics in survival, grab the design from the NBT file, and plop it down into the survival world to build this thing. So back in survival, I've made myself a schematic table right here, and I have a blank schematic in my hand. So if we right click the schematic table, you can already see that we have the ironfarm.nbt. It's actually the only schematic that's in the files. So if we plop down the NB schematic and then hit the check mark, and then it takes a second to load it, then we have the schematic in the survival world, and we can plop it down wherever we want. So you can see that we now have the bounding box, and I don't really know where we're gonna put it yet. I think actually we'll plop it down over here. Yep, this is the perfect space to plop this bad boy down. I think if we just right click, I want to go out a little bit more, maybe. Let's go out a little bit more, and then we'll right click. And then you can see the schematic is now in place. So we have an outline that makes it super easy. We're gonna have to probably fill this in, but this is gonna make it super easy to build this thing. So we have all of the materials right here in this chest, and we have the schematic ready to go, and we're gonna do this in a third-person time lapse. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's roll that music. And that is our first major create mod contraption done. That was a lot of fun. That didn't take very long at all. So as you can see, I've already dumped in a ton of ore, and it is already crushing a lot of it down. We got the ender biotite, we got iron chunks, we got zinc, all kinds of stuff is coming through. We dumped it over here into the chest. There's still a few things that needs to go through. It's working through the coal now. So as you can see, the mechanical drills are now paused because there is ore that is getting doubled. Once the ore is all done, then the mechanical drills will turn back on and generate the cobblestone to be crushed down into gravel, which will have our passive iron farm. So all this is getting fed into the ender chest and then fed into our storage drawers over there. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this farm. This was a really fun design. I'm super proud of what we were able to do with this. But yeah, any questions on this, guys, leave them down in the comments. I'd be happy to answer, help you out. And if you're curious for the schematic, if you're a Create Mod player yourself and you want the schematic for this farm, then feel free to hit me up on my Discord. The link to my Discord is on my YouTube channel, and I will send you guys the schematic over. I'd be happy to do that. But that is all the time we have today for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. If you liked it, please do not hesitate to hit that thumbs up. And if you're looking forward to future episodes on the Create with Backdraft server, then hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and the bell for notifications. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and I will see you again. Bye-bye.
Yeah, we are in the place to be. Yeah, yeah.